We've all seen the footage of missiles dropping and the Iron Dome intercepting rockets 1,000 times this weekend. But how could a regional war between Israel and Iran affect you? Well, in today's video, I'm going to break down the real consequences of a full-blown war between these two nations and what it could mean for the global economy. Let's understand it. To understand the conflict and the potential implications for the economy, or the global economy in this case, we need to look at both sides. On one hand, we must examine the global implications of a war involving a country like Iran, and on the other hand, it's equally important to analyze how this could affect Israel and the third countries that could be dragged into the conflict one way or another, say the United States or the European Union. There are many reasons why Iran is a geostrategically vital country for the global status quo, but undoubtedly the most important is its geographic position. Why is that important? Well, because Iran controls the Strait of Hormuz. The Strait of Hormuz, at first glance, it seems like a simple strait connecting two gulfs, but what makes it important is that 20% of the world's oil passes through it. Much of the oil produced in countries like Iraq, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, the UAE, or Bahrain is exported through the Strait of Hormuz. Additionally, the 26% of liquefied natural gas in the world also passes through it. Most of this comes from Qatar. This is why Iran's position here is of vital importance. If Iran wishes, both its navy and land forces could block the strait, attack or capture any oil tanker that passes through it, dramatically raising global oil and gas prices. However, location isn't Iran's only secret. The country is also vital for the world due to its massive reserves of strategic resources. Iran has the third largest oil reserves after Venezuela and Saudi Arabia, and the second largest gas reserves only behind Russia. Just with that, you can get an idea of how important Iranian supply is for global markets. Even though Iran has international sanctions on its hydrocarbon exports from the West, if its regular customers like China could no longer buy Iranian oil due to a hypothetical war, they would have to find it elsewhere, driving up prices. This is actually one of the main concerns of the United States, which is why it is trying by all means to prevent Israel from going too far with Iran. On the other hand, Iran is also important for another reason. Its demographics. After Pakistan, Iran is the most populous country in the Middle East. With over 88 million people, this is very important for two main reasons. First, Iran's population is quite young. This would allow it to sustain a long and costly conflict with any country in the world. Second, a war with Iran could lead to a real migration crisis where millions of Iranians would seek refuge not only in neighboring countries, but also in more distant places like China or Europe. Another reason why Iran is a key strategic player and can be very dangerous for Israel is that they lead the Shia Muslim bloc, and it has formed an axis where it has supported allies militarily and economically to strengthen them in their respective countries. Beyond its good relations with Russia and China, Iran has significant influence in the Iraqi government and especially with several Shia militias that are particularly strong in southern Iraq. These militias are well experienced in combat and have the capacity to give more than one headache to US or Israeli troops in Iraq. So another key point is that an open war between Israel and Iran would mean Israel would have to fight on multiple fronts at once. So the Israeli government must be careful not to spread its forces too thin. Because another point not to forget is the strong relationship between Iran and Russia. Remember that Iran has acted as a supporter of Russia throughout the Ukraine war, selling the Kremlin numerous drones and ballistic missiles, which are of vital importance to Russia. Therefore, the outbreak of a war between Iran and Israel would force Iran to limit, if not completely eliminate, its aid to Russia, as it would need all these weapons to face the Israelis. However, after everything we've discussed, I'm sure you're missing something, right? Exactly, the nuclear issue. According to the Iranian government, Iran is closer than ever to being able to produce nuclear weapons, which would place it among the few countries that possess such weapons. This means that if a war broke out between Iran and Israel, the chances of seeing a nuclear detonation would increase dramatically, as Iran would likely try by all means to accelerate its nuclear program. Caution is key here though. This hypothetical situation is very unlikely and we should remain calm and not panic unnecessarily. But well, it would be foolish of me not to include this point in the video. So now let's switch gears and talk about Israel. Over the last decade, Israel has discovered several important natural gas reserves in the Mediterranean, with the Leviathan and Tamar fields being the most significant. These reserves have positioned Israel as an emerging natural gas exporter, which not only boosts its energy independence, but also makes it a key player in energy supply to its neighbors and Europe. Thus, in the event of a war between Israel and Iran, the Iranian regime could target Israeli gas facilities, driving up gas prices, which, as you can imagine, would already be quite high due to the potential blockade of the Strait of Hormuz that we've talked about before. And of course, let's remember that rising energy costs would have a domino effect on the prices of goods and services. Although unlikely, one positive impact for Europe from a large-scale war between Israel and Iran could be the mass migration of qualified Israeli workers to other Western countries. This brain drain would be a problem for Israel, but it could present a golden opportunity for many European companies to acquire talent and gain valuable know-how in areas where Israel is a powerhouse, such as intensive agriculture, cybersecurity, or advanced software development. So, what do you think will be the most important consequences of this war? If you liked this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video. Otherwise, take care and see you next time.